A call for disabled people to influence legislation and efforts underway to restore BlackBerry services. Good evening. The Minister of Women, Children and People with Disabilities, Lulu Tingwana, says people with disabilities have the opportunity to influence policy and legislation that leads to equal treatment. She was addressing the 8th World Assembly of Disabled Peoples in Durban.
In the current financial year, South Africa is spending over 104 billion rand on social grants to assist the most vulnerable in the country. Disability grants is allocated to 1.2 million people with abilities.
Meanwhile, the National Chairperson of Disabled People South Africa, Muzi Nkosi, says the Assembly provides an opportunity to share best practices from around the world on issues such as accessibility, funding and infrastructure challenges.
We need to work closely with our respective government in all the countries to ensure that these documents become a reality. We also need to come up with strategy to ensure that we eradicate poverty, because poverty for us, it leads to disability. And the other issue that we were going to embark on this 4th day is the issue of HIV and AIDS, that we need to stand together in fighting the pandemic.
COSATU says it fully supports an appeal by its affiliate, the South African Commercial Catering and Allied Workers Union, who have approached the Competition Appeal Commission. They're appealing against the Competition Tribunal's decision to approve the Massmart-Walmart merger. The appeal will be heard on the 21st and 22nd of this month. COSATU's General Secretary, Zwelenzima Vavi.
SACAO's primary objective is to secure a prohibition of the merger. But if that is not granted, and we quote SACAO, conditions must be imposed that address the pre-merger retrenchments, the impact of the merger on workers' conditions in the retail sector and its supply chain, and local procurement requirements to protect small, medium and macro enterprises.
Both the Financial Services Board and the Financial Intelligence Centre have expressed concerns about provisions in the Protection of Personal Information Bill, which they say will compromise their ability to function properly. The bill aims to regulate the collection, processing and sharing of personal information by private and public bodies. It includes a person's educational, medical, employment or criminal history. Joanne Ferreira of the Financial Services Board addressed a parliamentary committee.
It is critical in terms of criminal behavior that in the financial services industry, the regulators specifically can share information with other financial services regulators and also the FIC, registrar of banks and other local industries.
Research in Motion, the company behind one of the world's most popular smartphones, BlackBerry, says it's working to resolve the issue currently affecting some BlackBerry users in Africa, Europe and the Middle East. Millions of BlackBerry users were cut off from the service, leaving them with no access to the internet, BBM and other applications like Facebook. Reporter Horizani Satole reports.
BlackBerries were popularized by the integration of email into a phone when they were introduced in 1999. Since then, they've risen to be one of the world's most loved smartphones, following the introduction of BBM and unlimited internet access. However, that came to a halt today when the service crashed. Users have used social networks like Twitter and Facebook to express their frustration. For SABC Radio News, I'm Horizani Sitole in Johannesburg.
Former Eastern Province wicketkeeper batsman Lulama Masikazana has died suddenly at the age of 38. He played 38 matches for Eastern Province between 1993 and 2000 and was one of the first black players to represent the South African schools team. Well, the top story at 8 o'clock, the Minister of Women, Children and People with Disabilities says people with disabilities have the opportunity to influence policy and legislation that leads to equal treatment.